be able to click on it. Just saying that we're going live. What's up, Crashed It Nation? This is episode number 39 on the Crashed It podcast. Today we are featuring Team FSM, the Full Send Mafia crew, Kyle, Derek, and Brandon Wardenhausen. And we're going to recap on Capital City Carnage first, and then we're going to get into Team FSM and what they're all about. And I know they've got a lot of fans just because of their driving styles and stuff like that. So we can't wait to watch them and their careers keep going and growing. But so this last weekend we had Capital City Carnage, and that was in Topeka, Kansas. And they did something a little bit different this year. This year they decided they're going to have nothing but one and done heats, which I've discussed with several drivers. I felt like that was a really good move. That's something that we seen Sam Williams do last year with Peoria or Whiskey City, and it turned out really good for him. And I feel like that's kind of the way of the future, like where the national shows are going to go, like not the team show format, but if they have singles, they're just going to do like one and done formats. As a driver, it's got to be nice for someone to pack up and travel across states or multiple states and be able to just run their derby. And once they're done, all they have to worry about is loading up their car, and then they can enjoy the rest of their weekend. I'm sure it'd suck if you were in the last heat of the weekend, because you'd be probably nervous all the way up till your heat. But we had the street stock feature number 1, Caleb Myers, Missouri boy, bringing home the win. Kirk Sake in second, Landon Pryor in third, Jacob Prisman in fourth, and fifth was Wyatt Oberly. Believe that's the only heat they did not choose a Mad Dog out of. Before we came on, Kyle was telling me it was a $1,000 to win the Mad Dog, and that's impressive. That's something that it's just a good benefit for the drivers. It gives them encouragement to drive harder. Whoa, skip number 2. Sorry, see if I can find number 2 here. That's probably the one I left out. There we are. Street Stock Weld feature number 2, Chad Markley. He brought home the win. Chris Johnson in second. Third was Derek Steele. Fourth, Alex Satia. And fifth was Dwayne Armstrong. The Mad Dog, Jake Sauter. Man, he was putting it down out there, and I felt like that's the one that kind of set the tone for the rest of the evening and the weekend. Chad Markley drove the way everyone expected him to. He went out there and put on a clinic. I've always been, humbled by the way he drives, I guess is the word for it. He just Chad gets out there, and I don't know how he gets his rear ends to do exactly what he wants every time. But he does, and he's like a surgeon. Once he gets it, he like knows how it looks, I guess, just by the way it feels. And he's a surgeon out there. And he was playing like cat and mouse with Chris Johnson. And I felt like, that was just a driving clinic. He was like agging him on, like, come on, hit me. And he just fed him the rear end. He was just taking out his steering. What do you think about that, Kyle? I know you were out there. Did you catch that heat?
Yeah. It was they put on a show there for sure. And that Mad Dog driver, it's always fun to watch him. It sucks because they're going to go out earlier, but man, he was laying that pedal down hard.
Yeah, he was. All right, in the street stock, feature number 3, Brad Kish brought home the win. James Kitchell in second, Ryan McCracken in third. good run for him. And fourth was Justin Comer. Fifth was Jason Ippenstein. And the Mad Dog was Matthew Elliott, and that he was the one in the black flame car, I believe. And man, he was driving the wheels off that thing even when he couldn't. I mean, his whole front end got pushed in so far that the wheels looked like they were up in the fenders, like the front wheels, from the video. And he was still wheeling that thing. And I kind of liked watching the stream that Derby Nation did, because that Chris Marquette and the other guy was Steve. Steve at Derby Nation was doing an awesome job commentating on what was happening on the track, and they were commented on how Matt's whole front end was pushed up and he was still driving through it, and they were like calling shots out before they even happened. And you could tell them guys have watched a lot of Derbying over the years, because they were just making comments and stuff that I was thinking too, and they did a good job. I thought I'd throw that out there. So they had the first night they had 3 street stock weld features. Is that right? Or did they have 4?
They did 3 the first night. Yeah.
Okay. And then they had a front wheel drive hobo at the end of the first night. That was where we had a lot of the Missouri teams or Missouri boys in there. Kyle, you were in that as well. Kind of take us through your whole experience getting out there, and kind of how your Derby went, stuff like that.
It's always fun running down there. I mean, the environment. I mean, there's nothing like driving through that tunnel. Obviously, I didn't realize how many drivers from Kansas was coming too. So pretty much that when it hit about top 10, it pretty much turned into a Missouri versus Kansas. And Kansas, they brought Camrys, and obviously Missouri had W bodies. And it was a slugfest to the end, and the Camrys won this time, but I think the tables are going to turn next year, so I don't think they'll get off that easy this time.
Yeah, we had a lot of the Missouri drivers. They just had a lot of bad luck. I mean,
it was
there was some drivers. Like I don't know what happened to Jordan Tobin, but he's usually a guy that you see at the end, and I think he was one of the first ones out.
Yeah, his fuel pump shit out on us the second one, and that week he had one right before he left go out. So then he got another one, and he backed up, moved around a couple times, and that fuel pump took a crap on him too. So he was a sitting duck, which it's kind of a shame, because he had a pretty good car. I think he would have done really well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know my brothers, they went out there to kind of drive around and see if they could run it down. And Joshua had probably one of the rustiest cars I've seen him take to a show like that. And he backed up about half track and hit someone, and the other guy's car didn't move.
Yeah.
He got clear into his own strut tower.
Yeah, it was it was a bunch of small things. Missouri just little bitty things took us out.
Yeah, I know both my brothers had transmission issues. Jacob lost reverse, and Joshua's tranny was going out. I think when there's about 8 cars left, you could start seeing it in the video just going.
Yeah, I had to use them a couple times softly just to stay on the hit clock. So because they were down there where I could at least tap somebody.
Yeah, and you made like an awesome hit. Is that like it was pretty close to the beginning of the Derby? You come flying across there, perfect wheel shot on someone. Did you lose steering?
I thought it was perfect too, but I 45'd my own frame rail, and the front motor mount broke off the cylinder head, and it dropped down and broke the rack. So I lost the steering wheel, just spun about. I think it was right after the second red flag. I didn't think I was going that fast to hit him. I mean, I knew I wanted to hit him good, but I rewatched the video and I was scooted across that sucker when I smoked him.
Oh yeah. While we're on smoking people, I gotta give a shout out to none other than Zach Burton.
Oh yeah,
that dude.
He is my.
I thought he should have won Mad Dog.
He should have had Mad Dog. He went out there and he was making junk.
Oh yeah, he was. And they were calling it on the live stream too. Like, man,
Yeah.
that Bush Light guy, he's going nuts. They're like, thank God there's red flags because this guy needs a second to regroup.
Yeah. Yeah. Alex Maxwell drove good. He made good shots, but I don't think any of his shots compared to what Zach was laying on. But I think Zach did them at the beginning, and then I think he was kind of forgot about there towards the end, and Alex waited to the end, and I
Yeah,
think
and that's
got it for him.
something that happens sometimes in derbies, and we see it happen around here. I mean, at our Lucky Seven shows, I usually am the disagreeer with the boys because I feel like the guy that goes out there and just puts on a show from the drop of the green flag. That's my mad dog pick, and that's exactly what Zach was doing. But
Yeah.
like you said, sometimes that you get forgot about as the derby
Yeah.
goes on.
Yeah, and he had a battery short out on him. They it wasn't in the rules. They said they're going to add it next year, but they decided when we got there and tech that they were going to not allow having two batteries in a car. So they made us all get rid of our second battery, and his battery shorted out, and he didn't have the second one to switch it to. So he was just sitting duck after that battery went out.
So do you guys have any problems getting out there or going home with the haul?
My problem was just figuring the W body out. I mean, I took the motor out of my mod car and put in it, and then it had a bunch of vacuum leaks and wouldn't run very good. So we spent days upon days, and then I got a hold of Han after talking to your brother. I ordered a computer. He sent it down. I tried that, and I ended up having a bunch of lower intake vacuum leak, a throttle body leak. Then I had to make a vacuum leak so the car would run, and then I switched the injector harness, figured it all out, got it running good. But it was mainly just figuring it out because I mean I run Camrys and Accords most of the time, so the W body was all new to me.
How'd you like the W body? Did you
Uh,
like what you're getting into, or you're like, let's go back to Hondas or
I think
whatever?
stock wise, I'm gonna stick with Hondas. I don't know. I think even on that, they're hard cars, but I think it folded too easily. I don't think that shot on that I put on them should have folded it like it did, but I junked myself hitting that thing.
Yeah, and I think the Hondas have a little extra support up front.
Yeah. And I mean,
The
I'm
way
sure
they
I can make the aluminum hard when I figure them out. That was just the first one I ever did. So, but I've ran multiple Hondas, so I got them pretty much figured out.
But yeah, I think one of the other people from around here that went down there, like the Allers and all them, I think they blew out a tire or something, either
Yeah.
there on the way home.
Yeah, it seemed like a couple of them like on the track. I know it seemed like they were tie rods. I know Brady, I know he broke a strut in half and the wheel folded out. And I think one of the Allers, I think he broke a tie rod or something and some motor mounts. I could see his motor flopping around because we used each other a couple times to stay on the clock because I knew he didn't have steering. So I would try to move in there to where I know he could bump me and stay in. And then I would kind of do the same thing with him. I'd use him to keep me in.
I think he was talking about your drive to Kansas and back from Kansas.
I didn't have no problems to and from, but you know, we popped Landon and Wesley popped the tire on the way down there. We noticed it about the second toll booth that it was flat. So they just trucked it to the arena and switched it out there. We had to spare.
Oh
But
crap.
to and from was good. I was more worried about my Blackstone falling off the trailer, but it stayed on. So I got my quesadillas.
Oh, you're the one that brought that. I seen
Oh,
that
yeah.
pictures in the pits, man. Like you guys
Yeah,
were eating
I
good.
put that on the trailer. That's the first thing my wife said. She says, "You better not lose that or let it get stolen." Because I've only got to use it once since we got it, and then we used it there. So it was a good time.
I'm sure it got used there a lot.
Yeah, we used it that first day a lot.
And we had a couple youth come up from our area. We had Cameron McGee, Braden Jackson, and I believe Hunter Bish all ran up there in the youth class, and they all did pretty good. Brogan Watkins brought home the win. Second was Lucas Earl, and third was Jarrett Still. So I was impressed with some of them youth drivers. You could tell some of them they've had some experience in driving like a stocker class, and some of them were driving to win. And I thought them youngsters did a good job. I know I talked to Cameron a little bit before the podcast, and he said he had some issues come up. He didn't really know what they were, but I'm sure I'll figure that out later on through the week. But he said he just wanted to do better than he did. He just didn't. His car just wasn't working right. So
Yeah, they were having trouble with that car all weekend, which I feel bad that I brought it down because I think he would have been a good candidate for Mad Dog. Every time I talked to him, he said he was gonna let the wood. So
yeah, that's what he told me too. I loved his interview though. Did you guys catch his interview?
oh, it was hilarious. We all sat there and watched it one right before we all went into the stadium. We were over there by your brothers and Brian's pit, and they were watching it over there. So it was a funny one.
Yeah. He was so enthusiastic and
Oh,
short spoken.
only wanted to thank his grandma.
Grandma only. That's it.
That's it.
They had the 2-man extreme class, and Caleb Reed and Brian Reed brought home that. Russell Bauer and Brandon Berger got second. Corey Leaf and Jordan Hex got third, and the Mad Dog was Dace Fisser and Skylar Powell. That was one I didn't get to watch very much of because I was at my daughter's softball practice during that show. Was it a pretty good 2-man show that anyone that watched it? Or
it was one of my favorites of the weekend. You know, normally the 2-man, they don't. The one year I went down there, it took over an hour. They didn't really do nothing, but these boys went at it from the rip. It was one of my favorite ones of the weekend.
you guys ever wanted to do that?
Oh, I was talking to your brothers other bit about doing a 2-man compact. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've always talked about how fun that would be to do that. Just because you don't have control of the whole car. You just don't know. I mean, sometimes I'm sure you guys as brothers that are on the track together kind of know what each other's thinking. But then again, there's that time where Derek might go, well, I'm just
you
gonna
ain't gonna know what the fuck this guy's thinking. I'm not giving him the pedals if we're doing a 2-man. Ain't no fucking
Come
way.
on. He'll full track anyone. I love it. But yeah, that's just something I've always thought was pretty cool. And they had the Street Stock Weld feature number 4 and John Mewes or whatever his last name is. He got first again. This is 2 years in a row. He brought home a check from Carnage. He's an awesome driver, good guy to be around. He's a really good sport about every time he's on the track. I think he was out one of the first ones in the vans, and he still went out there and shook hands. They showed him walking around after the vans got done, and he was out there shaking hands with everybody. So that was really cool. Nate Steele, Sean Verana, Justin Montgomery, and Julian Suter round up top 5, and then Riley, I don't know how to say it last name, Sobdi, got the Mad Dog in that class. All right, in the minivans, Ben Hitz brought home the win. I liked his interview after. He just said, I tried to stay out of everyone's way because it was a very fast-paced heat, and that's the kind of heats I like. Ashton Dudden got second, third, Donovan Lundgren, and then Adam Clark. Holy crap, bringing home the Mad Dog. Did you guys catch that van heat at all?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite shows up there. Watching it on TV was the minivans.
Have you ever got a van to fold like that, Brandon?
The only van I've ever ran was that Odyssey, and Man, that thing was ran maybe too many times, but it held up all right in front end.
That Odyssey ran a lot.
Yeah, it did, but it got to go out with a little bit of glory, so that's good.
Was that the one that went to Carnage?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one that I originally took, and then I let Seth take it up to Columbia. He got a Mad Dog in it, and then I took it to Vienna, got a Mad Dog and one in it, and then Brandon took it to Eldon, got a Mad Dog in it. And then I think we took it somewhere else, and then he took it
Took it to Versailles,
and
then took it to Vandalia and got another win with it.
then it was the transmission wanted to know more of that. I think we got 6 or 7 runs, and it brought home money
Well,
almost every time.
when we took it to Vandalia, you couldn't even put water in it because the head gasket was already blowed in it. So I ran that thing with nothing in it and just gave it till it quit. But that last hit was it just crept forward just enough to make a tap. And that's all it had. So
I was impressed with that Adam Clark. Holy crap. And I was actually impressed with the Italian stallion, Casey Steckman.
Yeah.
He went out there in the van, and I kind of forgot about that he's going. I could see his name on the list and stuff, but for some reason it escaped my brain. And then I was watching him, the driver center of the track. I said, "Holy crap!" Forgot he was running. And I kind of kept an eye on him throughout the Derby and thought he did really good.
He did. I think that was if I remember correctly, that was the first Derby he's ever done.
Yeah, he's our little figure 8 recruiter. Probably half the drivers I talked to, he has something to do with them getting in the car.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice to see him. And then Troy Mitchell, he did pretty good, and his roof sign stayed on. The commentators on the live stream, they're like, "Oh, they're making bets like that it would fall off and stuff," and his roof sign held in there. Yeah. And then in the mod class, Troy Johnson brought home the win. Zach Johnson second, Chad Markley third, and Kyle Mason got the Mad Dog. That was more like a team show to me. But them Johnson boys, they're good drivers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I felt like a little bit of piece of Blizzard Bash action from that. And the limited weld, Zach Johnson brought home the win. So, geez, he brought home the win twice, huh? He had a good weekend.
Yeah, he did.
Nick Erlacher got second, Brady Larson's third, Mad Dog was Brady Larson. I didn't get to watch that one yet, so I'm going to this week sometime.
Yeah, I don't remember. That might have been the one we ended up. But that was the last event of the weekend. I think we ended up leaving.
it lasted over an hour.
Or yeah, I think we ended up leaving early because they were just. Yeah, they weren't doing very much at the beginning, and the girls were getting tired, so we ended up going to the house.
Yeah, it makes for a long weekend, and I kind of skipped over. They had a mod compact class too. For some reason I didn't get the results on that. I don't think. Nope. Yeah. So they had a mod compact class, and for some reason I didn't get the results. We had a couple of guys from our area go down there. We had Wes Jordan, Landon Worthy go out there. We had Cody Bedsworth, I believe, was out there as well. So 3 Missouri drivers
And then
from our area.
And Sean Lackey.
Oh yeah, Sean. Sean went out there too.
Yep.
And he took a couple of hard shots off the back that like I think that was like a Camry Wagon or something was picking on him.
Yeah. Yeah, the Minnesota, I'm pretty sure the whole Minnesota Madness was 1 through 4. The Team 2 Minnesota Madness.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
Mad
those
Dog with
guys,
Jeremiah Adams
they've
got
got
Mad Dog in it.
yeah. Actually, I think the winner, um,
Jake Brunson.
yeah, Nate Brunson, was he the winner?
Yeah, and then you got Andy Oxa and then Jared Fisher.
Yeah. So Brunson, is he Minnesota Madness too?
Yeah,
I don't.
he was driving a Minnesota Madness car. I don't know if he was. I think he was just driving the car. I think it was someone else's car. He was just driving it. If I'm right, I'm not 100% sure on that, but because
Okay, that's probably Coke's car then.
two Camaros, and the two Luminas. I'm pretty sure
Two
it came.
W bodies. Yeah. Yeah, it was nice seeing Mulder back out there. I don't know if you guys know this, but the Mulder, the number 77, I, he was on compact Cadillacs throughout when they were coming, and that guy was always fun to watch. And my brothers kind of got a little rivalry going with them guys, and it was always fun to watch them guys go out on the track and they just seem like they go straight for each other. And, it was always fun to watch. We'll get to that in a minute. All right. So that was Capital City Carnage. My 2 cents on the whole thing is I felt like it was a really good show, and thanks to all the drivers that showed up for that show. Thanks to Derby Nation for streaming it for the ones that weren't able to be there. I'm working to get some more information from them guys on some video clips that I kind of put together, but I wait for their good graces on it. And we can't wait to see what else that Smash It crew. I felt like they started getting something with that. They kind of had a negative reflection from Blizzard Bash from a lot of people that was in different classes and stuff. But I've heard a lot of good things about Capital City Carnage. They even looked like they had a good Bobby Brockway memorial thing going on.
Yep, it did.
I didn't get to really watch that, but I heard about it. So that was really good. Good guy and a good family. So you guys might have some input on this. I don't know. Apparently there was a guy that lost the bet that might have been a relative to Wes Jordan.
Oh, Bubba, that's Wesley's cousin.
Guy goes out there in like a shirt, like a Chiefs shirt that's been cut off like right below his chest. And he's a bigger boy.
Oh yeah.
And he's looked like he had like a little mini skirt on with Chief stuff. But he went out there and did like a little Chiefs thing. I guess he lost the bet to someone. And I heard that was pretty comical.
Oh, it was hilarious. And right before the mod compacts pulled out, he had BAS painted on his tummy, and he had a sign that says 06 and my cousin. Wesley did not like that too well, but it was all funny.
That's awesome. All right. So Team FSM, we got Brandon Wardenhausen, Derek Wardenhausen, and Kyle Wardenhausen. So how'd you guys, Kyle, just give a quick little refresher how you got started, and then Derek and Brandon, our listeners kind of want to know how you guys got started as well.
I started figure eight racing in probably 2017, 2018, and then last year, some way, somehow, these two convinced me to build a gut and go car, and I don't know why I ever thought that was a good idea, and I still don't know why it's a good idea, but I've been doing it ever since. So.
What about you, Brandon?
Well, Kyle actually started, I think he was the first one that kind of got into any of it with the figure eight. And I remember watching it as a kid, and I always felt like it'd just be something that would be really fun, really cool. I kind of, even sitting in the stands, I feel like watching those guys, I was like, man, that's badass, so it was something I always really wanted to do. And Kyle, he had a car that he started out with that was still running and stuff, so he kind of just threw me in it. And he's like, well, you can drive this car, try it out. So I did the figure eight thing for a couple of years and ended up buying my own car and started out with the Toyota Camry. And I think I ran it for about 2 years, and I'm all about blasting people in the middle, man. I love the action, and I kind of got to the point where I was kind of not really pissing people off, but they'd be like, this is a race, this ain't a derby. So I'm like, all right, well, we'll go to the derby then. And that was more for me. I really enjoy the derbies. I like the action. I mean, winning's nice, but for me, I'm happier. I got a bigger smile on my face if I could take home a Mad Dog or put on a show. That's what I love about it. And so that's where I'm at.
What about you, Derek?
I'm pretty well in the same boat with Kyle starting me out on it, but I mean, I was same boat as Brandon, going out there blasting everybody, and it just got down to the point where my first year I went through 32 cars running figure eights and derbies, so it was like I might as well just take in the derbies and get out of the figure eights.
Holy crap! Yeah. So we're gonna kind of step forward now. So last year, I believe, is that when did the Full Send Mafia FSM come about? Was that last year or the year before that?
That was last year,
Right at the end of it.
right towards the end.
So kind of tell the listeners, all the people that's going to listen in, about Full Send Mafia, kind of how it came about, and like why FSM fits you guys so well. A lot of the people that listen to this podcast probably never watched you guys derby before, because there's ton more people that listen to this thing on Spotify than I see on YouTube. That's for sure. So,
Well, we ran one show together, and I think one of us ended up bringing home a Mad Dog. So then I was like, just thinking all day, pretty much throughout the day, like, we got to come up with a name. Everyone has a name that runs together. So I slept on it one night, and I woke up and I had a couple of names like Track Shot Nation and whatever. And then I woke up, and then I seen, like, I was watching something on YouTube, and then something came up, and it was Full Send or something. And I'm like, Full Send Mafia. And I'm like, I'm going with that. So then, I mean, we pretty much we're three brothers from a small town, whatever. And, pretty much we want to make derby and fun to watch again. You watch all the time. It's always fun to watch, but so many people went to that sandbag to win mentality. And as people watching it, it's like, like big cars, you always watch the Mad Dog go out there and, a minute or two in and he's done. So it's like, oh, but it was really fun to watch that 1 minute or two. So we figured, if you have three of that, you got at least 6 minutes of action. So we just figured we'd go out there, see how many Mad Dogs we can get. And that's our goal every year, is just to see who can have an inside bet to who can bring home the most Mad Dogs in 1 year. So we just go out there and hammer down, and whatever's there is getting hit. I mean, we don't necessarily look for good shots. We're just any shot. It don't matter.
More or less,
yeah,
we don't really care for the money. We're there for the show. Give the crowd what they want.
Yeah, there's nothing like hearing that crowd start hooting and hollering and cheering when you lay a hit on somebody. And
I think that's what helped. We got a lot of supporters out there, and not only that, but I mean this whole derby thing and working on these cars together and building these cars together brings us all as a family together better. Our kids are involved. Our parents are involved, our grandparents, everyone comes out and watch and puts in a helping hand. And not only that, but even, those kids like me, when I was younger, watching these derbies growing up, thinking how cool that was. I feel like us putting on those shows, people love watching us. It gets our name out there, and we're doing it for them,
It draws more and more attention.
and it makes all the late nights and building cars worth it.
oh yeah. So how great does it feel to be on the track together? I mean, you guys show up as a team and as brothers, and you're all there to put on a show. Do you kind of have to look out for each other because you never know when they're going to come flying across the track?
You pulled out in front of me. That was
yeah, I can. I never thought of having to watch out for each other, but I let Derek use a car, and my car in Eldon, and I think it was a whopping 60 seconds into it. He took me out in my own car, come across the track, and took the front end out of that old girl. And that was a very short-lived derby, but I was
All right. Put it back together.
I do feel like we could get a little more synchronized to run a little better as a team while we're out there and kind of keep an eye on where each other's at. I mean, we try the best we can, but you know, that first few minutes in that derby is pretty chaotic with the cars everywhere and everything going on until it starts dying down. And then you kind of look around and be like, all right, is anyone left in here still, you know? And then we kind of come together and try to help each other out a little bit, you know, but then there's always that shit talking. So if it gets down to the last three of us, we're gonna have to take Kyle out because he's got the biggest mouth out of all of us.
We know what to expect when that happens.
if it ever comes down to us, one of us,
You're
two,
odd man
of the
out.
three, it's going to be a show, that's for sure. If it ever comes down to a 2-on-2, because we talk about all the time, is we ain't going to be easy on each other. That's for sure. We're going to back up, line them up, and let them have it.
Yeah. That was kind of the way we did it back in the day, and we caught so much shit for it from our parents and stuff because we had some fresh cars left after a show, and we junked them on each other, and we caught so much crap for that. That's what the fans are there for, and that's what makes it fun for them. And I tell you, the more you guys derby, the more, you know, I announce a lot of the shows you guys show up to, and when you guys pull on the track, you can just hear the rumble through the crowd. It's not just because your family sits right below the announcer stand at some of the shows, but you can hear the rumble through the crowd, like, oh, watch them guys. Them guys are gonna put on a show, they always do. And that's just you guys are starting to really make a name for yourself. And I know you guys are like selling shirts and everything now and hoodies. Derek's got a Full Send Mafia hoodie on right now. Can people still buy those from you guys, or?
Yep. Our mother's has a page called Stacy's Design, and she pretty much makes them all. And she can make people whatever they want. You know, if they want their own shirts or their hats or koozies or keychains, she pretty much makes whatever. But she pretty much took it and pretty much ran with it. She's been the key behind all the sales and stuff for the merchandise.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm probably gonna be buying something from you guys here soon. I've got so much, all these, I love seeing all the drivers starting to promote themselves, and that's what creates fan bases, man. And that's awesome, because what you guys probably will start seeing soon is you'll be seeing people you don't even know with Full Send gear on, and you know they're there to cheer for you, and that's just awesome. That's how it all starts right there. That's how you get the next generation involved. Hey, I mean, you can have a little kid out there wearing a shirt too big for them, but they're just proud because they want to support the team, and because they like what you guys are doing. So do you guys have a memory from last year that sticks out? We'll start with Brandon this time. A memory that sticks out, just a shot or a derby that really sticks out in your mind that just made the show for you, or
So
made the year for you.
I think I've always wanted to run a car, you know, just one of those cars that just never died. And the thing just be completely annihilated at the end. You know, I don't even care if I win. I want to see that thing folded like a taco. And I think I did that with that Accord there in Sedalia with the big card.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for me, the win was nice, but I was more excited about the pictures of the car afterwards. You know, having
you
that
definitely won that.
up. Yeah. I thought that was cool.
While we're on Sedalia, man, that was so cool. It was like a freight train, just the Fortenhausen. I think it was Derek, you were in a big car that show, right? Yeah. So I think you started the train down in the far corner, and I mean, all you guys got in on that. That was one of my favorite parts of that derby, especially because Kyle had a passenger that wanted out all of a sudden, and
Hold Tyler forward.
man, that was just great. The whole thing was awesome, and you guys were definitely there to put on a show. And I thought that was neat little mix up. You had all kinds of different cars out there in that stock class. And I mean, I actually thought Kyle probably was going to come home with that or someone in a small car just because of the mobility and stuff.
I think if I would have ran a radiator or some water, I might have been able to, but a Camry
It's fun.
don't run as long as a Honda with no water. I guess 'cause we tested that
Well,
there.
I mean, my throttle was stuck, so it didn't have the chance to die. I mean, it was just wide open the whole time. All I was doing was running the shifter, the pedal was doing its own thing.
So Derek, I've noticed before we get to your memory, I've noticed something about you. It don't matter if you win. It don't matter if you're the first one out. When the derby's over, you get out and do a backflip. And you're freaking crazy for that.
It's just
And
something
you
that,
always land it too.
yeah.
I'm waiting for you
Oh,
to like,
one of these days my feet are gonna come out from underneath me. I'm waiting on it.
oh
but I mean,
yeah.
It's something that you don't see nobody else out there doing. So I mean, why not just put it out there for myself kind of deal?
Everyone goes, you can start to hear it. They expect it now. They're like, oh, let's just off his car.
Yeah.
What's your memory, Derek, from last year? Just kind of sticks out to you.
I mean,
I
my
know a couple.
home would be Russellville. Obviously, put my own brother on the hood.
Dude, that hit. To me, that was the hit of the year. You met, I think, who was it? Who'd you hit?
Dominic Miller right there in the middle.
No, you met him about, you went about 60%. He didn't have a chance to get to the middle. That was a freaking awesome shot.
We both were scooting across that track, that's for sure. I mean, I
So
think
that
I
was,
do. Go ahead.
so was that like a redemption shot? I know you watched Dominic just plow Kyle. I mean, he got him. And you were down there on that end, and I just seen you immediately just go to the other end of the track, and I said, "Oh!" Like I already knew what was coming because I was like, I just started recording.
It was more or less. I mean, I lose my temper very, very easy in the Derby, but at the end, I shake hands with it and just have a good time. I mean, it's just one of those deals. I try to play it safe, but in all honesty, I mean, I watched Dominic did smoke Kyle down at the end, but before that, me and Dominic run around the track with each other, and he hit my driver's door. That's one thing that just set me off at the right there. And so I figured, well, we'll just go ahead and give it. And but at the end, Dominic's still one hell of a driver. I give it to him.
Yeah, yeah, he does a good job too, and he usually puts on a pretty good show.
That he does.
So was Brandon on the hood? Was that who it was?
Yeah, I was riding.
I told him right there when I come around that corner, I said, hold on. He's like, I ain't got nothing to hold on.
I didn't have a seatbelt. There was no shit handle or nothing. I was just kind of thinking about the best way to eat the dash.
There was no dash.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah, you were out on that hood. I
My
mean, I was
hand-
like,
my hand was all cut up after that from just grabbing whatever metal I could. But
yeah. And how sore were you guys after that one? You had to be sore.
I was fine. I think the next morning I was good. I was a little tender right after it because I kept elbowing the cage there with my right arm, but I think my soreness kicked in like the day after. Like not the day exactly after, but the day after that, I was like, I'm kind of feel sore now, but
Yeah, that's when I felt 2 days after the show. That's the worst. All right, Kyle, I'm pretty sure I know your memory, but what was your top memory from last year?
Oh, that race for 28. That was my biggest memory. Winning the Super Bowl figure 8 racing pretty much.
Yeah, that was the biggest race that's ever been around here, and I mean it was for someone near and dear, special to you, and wow,
Keep his helmet
there
on.
wasn't a
Helmet on the mini fridge back there.
yeah, there wasn't a single person there I don't think was happy to see you win that show. I mean, it's not like they gave it to you though.
No,
you
it
had to
was,
drive your tail off that race.
yeah, I think I lost about 6, 7 pounds whipping that thing. I was drenched in sweat. I didn't even know the race was over till Derek kept screaming at me, and I noticed cars were stopping and slowing down. And then Brian Nichols was pointing at me afterwards. Derek kept hollering at me that I won it. And I'm like, I don't think I won out. And then he know where I was at, but I watched the video and I think I had it by at least a lap.
You were scooting for sure, and it seemed like just when the timing was just right. Seemed like every time you come across the middle, you'd find a little something.
Yeah.
Wasn't much.
That's what I was telling Jacob's mom afterwards, is like towards the end. I mean, I just my hands would just tell me where I was just my man would just point towards a hole that what necessarily wasn't a hole, but when I got there, it ended up being a hole. So I just followed where my hands wanted me to go, and there was like a little light, and I just followed it. And luckily, there was a hole about every time I went through there towards the end.
Oh, that was awesome. I mean, that was probably one of the coolest races I've ever watched. I mean, just the amount of cars that were in it and the amount of cars that drove off just shocked me.
Yeah,
I thought it was I thought it was really cool that everyone stepped up and sponsored a spot on that. That was really, I mean, that was big for everybody, I think. And I know that's something that they want to continue on this year, it sounds like. So
no red
it's
flag.
another show.
My biggest surprise.
Yeah, I know. They never even
No
stopped
bunch
it.
ups and no red flags.
Yeah. And no one got hurt. It's just that's the good thing. So, what's your guys' favorite part of building a car? Derek, what's your favorite part of building a car?
I'd say more or less my cage. Cause I mean, whenever I put them together, I normally don't slap my cages together. If you actually look hard at my cages, there's not a piece that just goes up against itself and welds. It's all ran into each other. It's like I use 4x4 and 3x4 tubing, and I'll literally cut sections out of my cage to run it through the cage.
Nice. About you, Kyle?
Uh, Probably the building the front end. Probably my favorite. Just whatever involves welding, pretty much.
Yeah.
Welding's my favorite part.
There's welding and geometry to that. I feel like we're starting to see a lot more thought that goes into the figure eight cars we're seeing. A lot of similarities with like a mod compact. That's the way I feel anyway. Um, and it's something that we've picked up on through tech and all you guys' cars. You guys really thinking on the figure eight side, at least, like where the shots might come from and how you're gonna battle those certain shots that you might take. And to me, it's ingenuity, and that's something that we love about the sport, seeing all the different builds that come through. A lot of the times I mean, I'm sure my brothers think of this, but I've always been known to build kind of on the lighter side of things. And a lot of things I'm like, oh shoot, that's a lot of work right there.
I used to be that same way, and then as the sport has progressed and as a figure eight, you've got to do more and more and more. Cars come along, I've realized that there's some things you just can't have to. And then the more I've done it, the more I'm just like, it's kind of fun just sitting here. And I put the welding helmet on them in my own little world. No one's bugging me, and off I go. I'll spend 4 or 5 hours and not even know I've been down there that long.
Yeah. What's your favorite part, Brandon?
I think it's just most of my cars that I've had up to this point have been pretty basic. There ain't been really nothing crazy about cages or anything, and most of them have been really just a gut and go style. So I mean, you just kind of rip shit out of it, put a bumper cage on it, and just kind of fix it as things break. But this year I have invested a lot into mod compact stuff for Camrys. I've got a cradle ordered and everything. I'm gonna go in both feet first on this mod compact thing. So that's kind of going to be the next chapter for hopefully all of us, really. But we're still going to get in that gut and go stuff a little bit. But for me, I think, once the car's done and built, and just seeing how good you can make it look, right before you take it out for that first time, the body lines and the header and I just think it looks cool as shit, the skids. I think that's my favorite part is after all that work and everything you've done is and seeing what you've accomplished on it, I think that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. So have you reached out to like Steven Sickles or anything about Camry builds for the compact stuff? Guys, he's very good with like a mod compact Camry. I was actually expecting him to bring that to Blizzard Bash last year. He shocked me when he brought a W body.
He did. I followed him for a while. I wish I could have made the Blizzard Bash just to talk to him. I noticed that's who I started watching him in Zach's workshop when I started running Camrys and learned a lot from it. And then when Steven showed up in Lumen, I'm like, whoa. I had to keep going further back because I'm like, because I didn't know he even ran Luminas. But he put in
He shocked us all with that. But hey, that's what he wanted. He felt like fit the rules the best, and he did a really good job. But that's someone that you might think about reaching out to. He's an awesome guy. He helps everybody he can. So that's just that's awesome that you guys are jumping into some mod stuff. They hurt a lot more, I hear. But the car, I mean, you can run it a lot longer. Like pull it back out, run it again. Josh Wagner, he's just sent me a video. He's getting all excited for Spring X. He's got all these. He's really tearing into his car. He's got it driving. He's test driving it. So it's looking good, Josh. I know you'll be watching this eventually. So I gotta ask. So you guys get to a derby or even a figure eight. Do you guys get any nerves or anything before you pull on the track, or do you have any like pregame rituals that you guys do?
Not really. I mean, yeah, my nerves kind of strike, but the minute that green flag drops and you take that first hit, it's over. I mean, it's all fun and games from there.
Yeah, I don't eat on Derby day. Nope, nothing. All day long, drink, but I'll peg out there at the end when it's all over with. But I don't really get the nerves as much in figure eights anymore. But I get that adrenaline going for the gut and goes. I mean, figure eights, I've done them for a long time. It's nothing new. But this stuff, it's like brings back that itch like the figure eights used to do.
Yeah, and the figure eight, something that I've always thought about it is like you kind of know what's gonna happen because especially when you start driving like in the series and stuff, you run against the same people and you know what they're gonna do and you know what you got and all that. But on derby track, you never know who's gonna show up and how they're gonna freaking drive. So, hey, Brandon.
I mean, I get a little nerves pulling in, pretty much the same. As soon as that flag goes down, I just keep moving and get out of there. Like I said, the first few minutes is kind of chaotic, so you're just kind of looking out. You hear that car screaming across the track. You're watching, make sure it ain't coming after you. But I'd say the going in there with those big cars definitely was more nerve-wracking than any other time, all the way up to the point till the flag drop. Sitting there next to him, you're like, man, if one of these cars wanted to drive right through me and smoke me, I'd be screwed. But luckily, I mean, there was a couple of them that did hit us pretty good, but we were able to get around pretty good, and none of them were like really gun for us. So we were kind of able just to keep moving around the track. And surprisingly, when you hit them with those little cars, they just sit there and spin like they're on ice, So,
Yeah.
But definitely does a lot of damage to your car hitting their cars in those little ones.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was expecting wheel shots for days. couple of years ago, Kurt Turpin took a stock Lumina almost down to Springfield, and he won down there against a bunch of big cars. And he was just taking out everyone's steering. I mean, just deleting tires. And I was like, "Yep, that's what we're about to see. That's what I was expecting." And yeah, the guys that showed up to that big car derby, they did a good job trying to protect their wheels and stuff too.
Go ahead, it did.
There was actually a lot of experience on that track, and I didn't know what we were going to see out of Andy. He was so excited to be back in a car, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a quick show for him." Like, I thought he was just gonna get out there and just pour it on, but he is actually driving to win. It looked like.
Yeah, he did good. I watched him drive through the back of Brandon once.
Yeah, he said he was just getting ready to turn it on, and he ran out of gas.
Yeah. Yeah, that car looked good.
A lot of them cars at the end of that derby still actually looked in pretty good shape. I don't know what happened to them, you know? They just kind of started dropping out.
I got
They had a lot of.
smoked by a wagon. I know what
Huh?
happened. I said I got smoked by a wagon. I know what happened. I seen it coming too. There was no like a battery went bouncing off the door, and I was like, "Yep, she's done."
Now, Tyler, he does a good job, and
Yeah.
I like watching him.
I seen him coming backwards, and I looked around. I'm like, "Oh crap! I'm the only one down here. I guess it's my turn." And so I just took it.
Yeah, Tyler, he's fun to watch too.
Oh,
He took his car, I think it was like Paris or something, that wagon, and he just finished it off. He was actually, I think he was going to bring it to Versailles, and like the day before, I think something was wrong with his motor or something. He had water in his oil or something. I think it was a head or something. He told me exactly what it was and through Snapchat and everything, but yeah, he's like, "Man, I'm not gonna look this thing all winter." So he took it to Paris or whatever, and they said he just straight got with it.
yeah, that whole group's besides ourselves, watching ourselves. I think that's my favorite group out of ourselves to watch run is the Rays and Quincy and all them. It's pretty fun to watch them.
Yeah, I'm sure we've seen a little bit different with Henry, but I think Border Wars he'll be right back to his old self for the way he talks. I don't see him sitting back.
I'd say that Red Limber is going to be found a couple times.
Oh yeah, the whole derby probably. But so what is your guys' plans for 2023? You guys got any plans? I think I seen April 1st, maybe you guys might have all got in to Lebanon.
Yep.
Yep.
That's the first show for all of us together.
Yeah.
And
That's Oklahoma Boys Promotions, right?
Yep.
That's putting that on.
Yep.
So what class are you guys running in?
Semi-stock compacts. So
What's that? Is that like a gut and go with a little bit of plating? Maybe?
Yeah, you're allowed
Bumper bracket.
6-inch bumper brackets and some. I wish we had, and you're allowed loaded bumpers. You can have 20 bumpers. They kind of got rules similar to Blizzard Bash, but our Capital City Carnage is hobos, but you can have the bumper brackets on there. I mean, they got some rules I wish that we had around here more, just because cars aren't getting cheap. I mean, we can always change the way we drive, but there's no fun in that. So we'll just continue to junk them and build another one. But I'm gonna take an Accord up there to Lebanon most likely. So
Yeah, so you get a bumper bracket and you can load the bumper.
yeah, you can have loaded bumpers. You just can't have a Chrysler pointy.
You can do some body crease on a panel.
Grease too.
You can do your 5-on 5-off on the door straps and trunk straps.
Can you dish the trunks?
No, I don't think you can dish them, but you can half them. You can
Okay.
fold them in half and close it. So, and then you can pre-bend a little bit. You can notch the rear and pre-bend it up a little bit.
That's Yeah, that'll be pretty interesting. I think I'm gonna be there. I don't think we have softball that weekend, so
I hear they
my
got
kids.
$100 Mad Dog up there too, so we're gonna go see who can bring home $100.
How much is it?
$100 Mad Dog.
Just 100.
Yeah, I think that's what.
That could go up by then. I mean, there's the whole town of Lebanon usually does. They support that show pretty good. And
They can keep the money. I want trophy.
yeah,
See who can bring home that trophy out of us three.
having a better purse helps that though too.
Yeah.
It helps replace that car you're about to
Oh yeah,
jump.
I'd like to see Mad Dogs like Capital did. They go up, just because the cars ain't cheap. You gotta support your people who's putting on a show.
That's one thing I've always said. If you have a really good Mad Dog prize, you're gonna see a really good Derby.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that changes people's mind aspect, especially if we'd see like something like that on a county fair level. You would see, I feel like you'd see a lot more people that just came to drive good, but to be there to just have fun. And then even the ones that say, well, here I came to win, but heck, it's $200 less if I get the Mad Dogs. I'm gonna try for that,
Yeah, that's what Gary did last year in Vienna. He ran a Mad Dog Derby. So I mean, first place was the only spot it paid out, and that was 1,000. And then he had 3 spots for Mad Dog. It was 1,000, 1,000, and 500. So he paid.
How'd that turn out for him? I didn't see that.
Turned out
That's
really
the
good.
one you wanted, right?
Yeah, that's the one that I took the van to, and he let us small cut and go cars run with the big cars up there. So I took that van up there and I won with it and got third in Mad Dog, and I won it too. So it came down to me, Kurt, and another car. And Kurt's van was getting pretty hot, and it died out. So it just came to me, and I pinned that one car up against another car, and I just started hammering on them with the van. So it came down to 3 small cars.
So were the big car guys throwing a fit about letting the vans run with them?
No, they didn't. They didn't seem like it. I think Gary said that just for insurance purposes or whatever, he wasn't going to allow us to do that again. Not with the vans, at least. But no,
I wonder if they had a really good cage.
Yeah, big car guys didn't seem to mind it too bad. Everyone just went out there and was just laying the wood anyway.
So have you guys seen the MWFA class, the stock build that you see?
Yeah, that most wanted finance.
Yep, the most wanted fine arts class. Have you guys got to watch any of those at a derby yet?
Nope.
Man, those are fun to watch. The way they do it is, it's like you just set a winning, like a purse, kind of like Gary did. The winner is the one that gets paid, but everybody gets paid. Everyone that goes out, there's an envelope with a number on it. If there's 32 cars, there's 32 envelopes. You get whatever envelope you pick anyway. And number 30 envelope could have the winning amount of the money in it, but the winner gets paid and they get an envelope. But it's cool because them guys, they bring out so many different types of cars, and you're allowed basically anything you want to run pretty much. There are some stipulations, but I mean, you see SUVs, cars, vans, little W bodies out there, Cavaliers. You see everything all on the track together. It's like, holy crap. But every one of them derbies I've seen with the MWFA class, them guys just go out there and drive like anyone that would want to drive that isn't there to win, because it don't matter. Whatever, it just matters about your envelope. And
I like watching that dead man class too, where they just have 2 cars out there and like every so many seconds they send out another one.
Every 5 minutes.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Gary's been talking about putting on, changing it to about every minute, and it's basically luck of the draw. If you draw first, that sucks.
Yeah, like the Royal Rumble. Yeah, that guy's a huge wrestling fan, and he comes up with a lot of good ideas. And Steven Adams, the Hard Node podcast guy, Filthy Promotions, They kind of quit doing it, but they were going to try that at Columbia, but they didn't have enough interest. Because it was like a pre-entry only type thing, and
I
that would
want
have been kind of cool to watch.
I want to see if maybe we can get some V8 truck derbies around here. Like Gary, he's going to try to put on a little 4-cylinder or V6 truck derby this year to see how well it does and whatnot. But I think we can get a lot of views or people around that.
Yeah. I got one sitting in my driveway. It's ready to go. It's a V8
Ranger. I'm going to put in it this year, so we're going to see how well it goes.
Yeah, I got like a Mercury Mariner out here. It's a V8 all-wheel drive. It's a jump. The transmission's like it's from second to third. It's jump, but it goes good in first gear and reverse. That's all you need.
Exactly.
Holy hell! But
Yeah,
yeah, that'd be cool.
I got an Explorer at the house I need to figure out what to do with. So if they have one of those derbies come up, then I might get it together for it. But
Heck yeah. So you got April 1st, and then what else you guys got planned? Anything else throughout the year?
Work on. I'm probably gonna run my first mod compact. The goal is to get it done before California. Then finish the car for Jacob's daughter, so she has a car to run her youth classes in. I need to get it pulled back in after Lebanon and finish getting it going. Then Brandon, he's working on his mod car, and then pretty much just run your alls gut and goes, and then run some mods and get our feet wet about anything. If they'll let us take small cars against big cars again, I think we'll probably do that again. But I don't blame them if they don't want us to.
Well, I wouldn't hold your breath for that. They've got seems like they've got a lot of interest on the full size side.
Oh yeah.
From what I hear, I don't really know.
My goal is to try one maybe this year. I want to try the full size.
They're awesome.
Gut and go.
I love them.
I want to get my feet wet about it.
If I could afford them, I would definitely
That's
get
my
back
problem.
into them.
Just more or less expensive getting started at first, but once you have everything, it's cheap. Like right now, I'm getting in the middle of building a mod big car, so it's just more or less collecting everything, and then after that, just move on.
Yeah, logging makes too much money over here.
Yeah.
he just always moves one step ahead of us too fast. We all get in the gut and go, and he goes to the mod compact by himself, and then we start getting in the mod compact. He goes to big car, and it's like, dude, I already spent a bunch of money on mod compact stuff. You're on your own, dude.
I did the gut and go big car. I did the semi-stock big car last year, and this year we're going to step it up one more notch. So we're going to see it. It was more or less to go inside that direction, but I did something to the car that shouldn't have been done, so it threw me inside of a whole nother class. So we're going to run it this year.
He likes to not read rules. And then goes too overboard because he just does what he wants and then realizes
like Brandon today,
he can't take that car because
No, I gotta switch out cars. I started building a car and I gotta restart on a different car.
Josh Wagner, he just texted me. Apparently he's listening to this. He said he runs a full size bone stock class, and he's promoting a couple derbies. I believe they're down south, but he said you can run a front wheel drive small car in them classes.
I can tell you it hurts to get hit by him. It does a lot more damage than small cars and does than big cars, but I don't know.
There's definitely pros and cons to both sides. I know when we showed up with those little cars, there's a lot of people saying that we had the advantage being in those little cars. And yeah, it is true we get around better. I watched those big cars kind of chase us in circles and couldn't get us. However, like I said, when you hit those cars at full speed like we do, or get hit by them, there's just so much more damage done to those little cars. I mean, my car, or that car that I had there, that thing is not runnable again. I mean, it's done.
Yeah. Well, you
But
drove that down to the end too.
oh yeah, that thing still started the next day. I drove it off the trailer and parked it where it was at.
It's still sitting there. I've never moved it yet.
Yeah, and I think that was the show that you were an honorable mention Mad Dog too at Sedalia.
Yeah, I know we went back and watched the video, and mine and Kyle's name was just coming up over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, I shout out the ones that are hit.
But I mean, I don't ever touch the brake. I mean, it's throttle all the way when I make a hit and try to go as fast as the car will go. But in that one, I didn't really have a choice anyway.
You guys got anyone you want to thank for allowing you to do what you do?
Family and the fans, the people who support us that travel around, and that's pretty much what keeps us doing it is, seeing our kids and their love for the sport and talking to all the people who love watching us run, and they'll walk up to us and tell us they expect us to put on a show, and we already tell them, you already know what we're going to do. So, I mean, it's just the endless support we get. So it keeps us doing what we're doing. When we started, like I said, we wanted to make it fun to watch again. So now you can see the excitement in everybody's faces when they know the three of us are rolling out there in a hobo class, and you're like, oh, all eyes on us, I guess.
Yeah, so what you're saying to all the fans right now is if they see you guys roll up, expect a good show.
Yeah, don't
Is that
blink.
what-
As well, I mean, we go out that quick, but I mean, if we go out, we're gonna go out either somebody's gonna have to hit us hard, or we're gonna junk ourselves. But
So if our DJ plays a song, what song would be playing when you guys are pulling out? Team FSM pulling on the arena. Don't blink.
I don't know. That's a good one. There's a lot of them. I mean, I'd probably put that
Ball with ball. Well, I mean, that's not good.
whatever that song is, that
Ball with ball should rock.
move bitch, get out the way.
Heck yeah. The swag. I'm sorry, I'm responding to a comment. Swag, the first Eldon Derby. The schedule is out for Lucky Sevens promotions. I think they might be adding one more show for the Derby guys, but the schedule is out as far as I know on the Lucky Sevens promotion website for the first Eldon Derby. So you can find it on there. So I got a couple questions. I'm gonna do this one at a time for you guys. Kyle's already went through this ringer, but Derek hasn't, or Brandon hasn't. So whichever one of you guys want to go first. I got just a few questions. Some of these questions I already asked during your just talking back and forth, so I'm gonna skip over those. But who wants to go first?
It don't matter to me.
All right, Brandon's first.
Go ahead, Derek.
Who's going?
I'll go ahead.
Okay, Derek's going. Do you have a favorite driver?
Not really, honestly. I mean, the way I look at it is, if you're willing to drive hard, congratulations, it's awesome. The more of us that's out there willing to drive, put on a show, the better it is.
That's something I've always said. If you get enough people out there driving hard, the ones that want to sit back, they're gonna be forced to drive hard to stay alive. And
I mean, I just love the perks of driving hard. I mean, me and your brother, we've been at it a few times down the track, and I mean, we've both given each other the lickings, and at the end of it, we're either hugging or we're shaking hands. It don't matter.
if you could induct one driver into the Demolition Derby Hall of Fame, who would it be?
Oh, that'd be a good one there. Honestly, probably couldn't tell you. I mean, there's just so many good ones out there that it's just hard to
Yeah.
pick one.
What's your favorite shot to give?
Wheel shots. I mean, it more. I like the wheel shots if I can give them. Other than that, it's straight head on. I mean, that's the best.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't lie. He likes to fucking bounce his head off the steering wheel. He's got a couple of screws loose up there, I promise.
Every car I've got that's been head on, I mean, it ain't nothing for the steering wheel to be shoved bent over into the dash. I do the no that
Nice.
they don't do, and that's lock my arms when I ride.
How many steering wheels have you broke?
I probably have a trophy of 6 or 7 of them right now. I mean, California having that Mazda Protege wagon when it come down to me, your brothers, and Brian Nichols. I mean, I was driving the steering wheel laying in the floor underneath my legs. There wasn't a steering wheel left. It was just laying down there driving.
I've seen some of them stock steering wheels snap off, and it's kind of scary as a driver. You got like a freaking spear in front of you. And a couple of years ago at California, that's Jacob broke his steering wheel completely off, and he threw it out the window, and I think it went across and hit another driver or something. But he just threw it out the window casually, and someone was driving by and it smoked him. He's in there like trying to turn the wheel with the little bitty thing in front of him. But yeah, it's crazy how them things break off.
Keep a pair of vice grips handy at all times.
Yep.
You could give a piece of advice to a rookie driver or someone new to the sport of demolition derby, what would you tell them?
I mean, really, it just depends on if they're out there to put on a show or out there for the money. I mean, if you're out there for the money kind of deal, play your cards smart, drive smart. Don't let people get to you. If you're out there to put on a show, hammer down. Just watch out for the driver's door and the passenger door for common courtesy if you got a passenger in there.
Do you have any rivals on the track?
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm sure we'll find some this year.
Yeah. All right, Brandon. I'm winging these questions. Josh was the one that asked these questions, so I don't even know what he asked, honestly. Do you have a favorite driver?
No, not really. You know, most of the drivers that I know or gotten to know have been, from shows that I've ran and been local, and there's a lot of them that when they go out there, I mean, unless something happens, they break as far as their driving skills. There's a lot of them with a lot of that are good drivers, usually if they got a good car, they're going to end up there at the end. But I wouldn't say I have a favorite.
Okay. If you could induct one driver into the Demolition Derby Hall of Fame, who would it be?
I don't know. I guess I don't really know any of them that I've like really followed, like watched, someone's career enough to be able to be like, that guy needs to be there or whatever,
Do you have a favorite shot to give?
No, I mean, if you're in my line of sight and it's a unmarked car, I don't know who's in that car. I'm gonna hit it.
An unmarked car. Do you have someone out there with the laser gun pointing like, mark him up? That's our guy.
It's just whoever, if I see someone beating on one of them or someone I know, he kind of becomes a target. Or I try to pick people that, I'm not like real buddy with, it's nothing personal. There's a lot of people that, gave a good shot or gave me a good shot, and then you meet them afterwards after the derby's over, and ended up being real cool people. Everyone's cool about it, so.
Oh yeah. Everyone's there for the same reasons. Well, I think you should be. You shouldn't be getting in a derby car if you don't want to be getting hit.
Right.
If you could give a piece of advice to a rookie driver or someone starting out, what advice would you give them?
I would, don't take anything personal, like I just said. When you get into this stuff, there's a lot of good guys out there, and no matter what happens out there on the track, I know sometimes people get heated, and but when it's all over and done, you shake hands, and you meet a lot of good people that way. You meet a lot of people that you're out there in the pits, and when I was doing figure eight, I had a tie rod break on me, and I didn't have one with me to go into the next race, and Sean Mahan gave me a tie rod. There's a lot of guys out there that'll help you, that will take care of you. You take care of them, just from the respect. So if you're one of those people that take it personal and just kind of become an asshole, no one wants to hang out with you, and you just kind of put a target on your back all the time. There ain't no fun in that. So definitely don't take anything personal.
Who's going to win the most Mad Dogs this year?
I'm gonna vote ourselves on that.
Now, who do you think is going to win the Lucky Sevens point series for figure eight?
I'm gonna go Jake Timbrook. I like that. Jake. We got a lot of respect for Jake. Jake's one of those guys who just, he's not a leader follower. He sticks to his own things. He's shown that you don't have to have everything the next guy has. Money. I say it all the time. Money don't buy you wins. It's not going to buy you wins. You can slap a steel sheet on. You can build your car to Jesus, and it's not going to buy you wins. It doesn't mean you're going to do any good. At the end of the day, you got to drive that car. And Jake Timbrooks has proven people he can take these old Cavaliers and whoop our asses any chances he gets. So, I have a lot of respect for the way Jake drives and the way he builds those cars. He's not following the leader. He's taking his own path. And I think people are about to realize that, he's a man that's going to be up there for sure.
Oh yeah. I can think of 15 drivers right now that just what I've seen through my dang Snapchat. There's going to be a lot of competition. I say it every year. And
Oh yeah, we figured there's going to be a lot of Grand Ams and stuff. People are going to start pitching Cavaliers.
The drivers are pushing themselves. I think you guys are pushing each other to go even further with your builds. And man, I've seen some really cool things. I can't wait for the 2023 season to get kicked off here. For us, it's April 15th for the figure eight in Russellville, and then I gotta see what else we got going on because I don't follow the schedule too good. I just kind of wait till they tell me.
I'll be there. I should be there watching that one. So we'll see who can bring it home. I got my money on Jake or Nate to win that one. So I'm sure I'll find a seat or something to hop in, but I'll be there watching it for sure.
I'll take a seat on the sidelines, huh?
Yeah. We sitting out quite a few of them. So
Yeah, I get that. It's tough when you got a house and all that stuff, and
oh yeah. So
a lot of time and all that stuff that you're doing.
I've started on a car, but I don't see it being done nowhere near done for the first race. I can't just piece a car together anymore. Then I got a couple weddings and me and everyone go out of town. So I'm already missing 2 or 3. And I told the guys, I'm not going to break our backs and spend all that time away from our family. And I'm not running for points anyway. So there's no point in doing all of that. When the car gets done, we'll get it done. I don't want to put it together, run it, and then we have that month after the race. We can change it then. I just want it to be the way I want to take it out there. So
yeah. Oh, that's totally understandable. Well, I wish every one of you guys good luck this year on your 2023 campaign. I know you're going to be making a lot of fans out there, and I know I appreciate what you guys do, and I'm sure there's a lot of different Derby fans that really appreciate the way you guys drive and the way you carry yourself through the community and just the brand that you're building for your guys' selves. And I think it's going to go places. So I wish you guys luck. Thank you guys for taking out your time tonight to be on the Crashed It podcast, and we wish you guys best of luck. Like I always say, go out there and send it. So this will be it. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about before we get off here?
Are you all planning on doing any Mad Dog shows that are more Mad Dog oriented, or?
I don't have. That's Jacob and Joshua. I don't have anything to do with that. I just show up when they need me. I'm there to help them anytime they need me, but I don't get into any of that stuff anymore. Once they half the time they announce stuff, but I'm clueless about. Everyone keeps asking me questions. I'm like, I really don't know. They're like, y'all, you're keeping it a secret. I'm like, no, I really don't. I find out a lot of times when they tell me. I'm like, the heck? They're like live reaction. Like seeing that live reaction. So I know they got some cool stuff planned for the future. There's a lot of cool things coming down the road for both the Demolition Derby guys and the Figure Eight guys. So that's all I can say about that.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thank you for having us.